All right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to another edition of the Open Farmer Cigar Garage Talks. How's everyone doing tonight? First off, it's only semi-clickbait, the title. I know anytime you put Flat Earth in a video, there's a whole host of people who will view the video, both for and against. We'll just talk about what we're smoking, what are we drinking. I'm smoking the Flat Earth Cigar by Oscar Valdez. If you watched last week's video, you noticed that I smoked the Earth Cigar. Same filler, same binder, except this one's box pressed, so it gives it a different flavor as compared to the round cigars. Before I get into what I'm drinking, you might have noticed a hand and a coffee cup have been added. So go ahead and say hello.
Hello.
We have Homeschooling Mama with us. She decided to come out and join me in today's video. She freezes her arse off and burns her legs. As you can see, the heater. Wow, your coffee actually, the steam off your coffee makes it look like you're like starting on fire. It literally looks like you're bursting into flames.
I am not. It is just the coffee.
So what type of coffee do you have?
I have no idea what you made this morning.
Oh, I think it was the
coffee
donut.
this morning.
It was the donut. Well, actually, I used a little bit of the Youper coffee and the what's the donut place? Dunkin' Donuts. Yep. I am drinking from the Great Lakes Brewing Raspberry Fudge Oatmeal Stout. I can't remember if I've had this one or not. I don't think I have.
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know. You have been watching my videos recently, though. I'm kind of excited about that.
I'm not going to watch them when you make fun of me for how I watch them.
I didn't mention that yet at all.
Yet?
You can bring it up now that you brought it up if you want. I mean,
No, you're sensitive about it, I think.
no, it's fine. I'm just weird about it. Nice dark stout. Let's see how she tastes here. Ooh.
That's not a happy face.
No, that's not a happy face. That's not what I was expecting. I think the fudge went bad. There's no chocolate. There's raspberry. Oh, there's a bitter beyond the stout, though. I can't put my finger on it. I think they used the wrong type of chocolate hops or chocolate grain. Maybe it just needs to breathe. We'll let it breathe a little bit. So anyway, tonight's topic comes because I just sat through a bit of a class with some people from the state of Michigan. This was a class on cottage food industry. So as I've talked about, our family is very much into the cottage food industry. We do farmers markets. We sell jams, jellies, maple syrup. We sell eggs. And we own a freeze dryer. And that's kind of where this comes from.
The homemade stuff, too.
A lot of the homemade stuff. Handmade. Donuts. I forgot about the donuts and the pretzels.
Cakes, or pies. I guess not cakes. Pies.
Pies. Cakes we used to. That's actually how we started off in the cottage food business. This Homeschooling Mama had a cake decorating business. I have no idea. I think it's just snow falling off the roof. I heard that too. So anyway, we're sitting in this class, and the class is being put on by experts from the state of Michigan, we're told. And this is not the first time this has ever happened to me. You quickly tell that these people are not experts because they have no idea how a freeze dryer works. So quick class for any of you guys who've heard about freeze drying. First off, it is science fiction come to your table. It is completely sci-fi in the fact that you super freeze whatever you're going to freeze dry, and then you take it, you put vacuum. So if you guys remembered your physics class, water boils at 210 degrees Fahrenheit at sea level. But the lower you drop the pressure, the lower the boiling point for water occurs. So what's pretty neat is that a special atmosphere, a special pressure and temperature water can exist in both a gas, solid, and liquid state all in one. And that's where the freeze dryer comes in. It drops the food down to that temperature and that pressure level, so that the liquid inside your food is both a solid, a gas, and a liquid. And then it slowly heats up the food, causing the water to sublimate. So it goes straight from a solid to a gas. That gas then condensates on the end of the freeze dryer. No, for any of you guys who saw the video, you cannot super freeze your food, put it in a sock, and then put it in your dryer real quick to freeze dry it. Not a thing. So anyhow, that's how it works. Pretty cool process. It does get the food very, very hot. I believe ours is set to 120 or 140. It brings it up to Fahrenheit. Well, we were talking to these people, and the lady who was giving the presentation said that there's a lot of foods that the state of Michigan will not allow us to freeze dry and sell because we can't because the food, of course, does not get up to a kill temperature. In case you don't know about food, you have to bring food up to about 165 for pretty much all foods. Bring up to 165 any organisms that are alive, and it will be killed off, and it'll make it safe for human consumption. Well, it turns out, I raised my hand. I said, well, what if you just set your freeze dryer to 165? And even the people in the audience, I'll give them a break. A lot of them have no idea what freeze drying is even. But the people from the state are like, no, sir, we're not talking about dehydration. We're talking about freeze drying. So it freezes the water out. Like, no, it doesn't. This lady's talking about how you can home make your own freeze dryer. Like, no, I mean, you can, I suppose, if you've got enough engineering skills, but I'm like, that's pretty advanced if you can build yourself a freeze dryer. Because again, it has to have a freezing element, a vacuum element, and a heating element. So this lady from the state, who was the expert in cottage food and told herself she's the expert in freeze drying, knows all about it, had no clue how the machine worked. And I even talked to her afterwards, and she's like, well, I'll look it up. I don't think that's how they work, though. I'm like, well, I own one. I operate it. I don't know. How many videos do you think we watched on that?
Freeze drying?
Yeah, videos and books and articles we read.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, definitely you more than me because I'm not YouTube. Well,
True.
Like, I don't really do much YouTube, but I probably read quite a few articles from the company that makes our freeze dryer, as well as a couple of their competitor companies.
Yeah, so we are well read in it. Plus, we utilize it all the time. So the organizers did ask me for next year. They want me to come back to explain it because I was talking to the one organizer, and he thought the same thing, that when you freeze dry it, you basically leave it in the freezer at a very cold temperature until it becomes essentially freezer burnt. And then through that process is how the water is removed, which is not true. That's not how it works.
It'd be really gross tasting food if that was the case.
Yeah, they all were shocked. I was like, no, there's actually quite a bit of heat you have to apply to it, but it's in a controlled, metered fashion. So I have to chuckle because this is not the first time the state of Michigan has proven that if you were hired by the state, does not mean you're an expert. And one of the earliest examples when I was in EMS, I remember we had distance learning, but there were a lot of really weird rules about it. Well, at the time, when I actually I did my EMT through distance learning, you needed a teleconference set up, and you just pointed your telecom camera at the PowerPoint to the blackboard. And, it was hard to read, it was hard to see, the lecture would break up all the time. So they had rules like you had to have a certified instructor in every class. Well, all of a sudden I started, as I became an instructor, I found Zoom and what's the other one?
There's
Zoom.
an Adobe one.
There's an Adobe one. There was a Telemed one, where instead of a camera, I'm sharing my physical screen, so the students can actually read it. They can read the slides. They can, it's almost, if it is in a classroom setting, they can project it on a projector and it's there. But I wanted to pioneer where people could do it from home. I believe I used Zoom. There was another one. What was that other one called?
It was an Adobe, I thought.
Could be. Anyway, the one that I did use, you could actually track like mouse movements. You could send them quizzes, and I could turn on their cameras. So the state allowed me, like they didn't believe it. They didn't believe that you could do all this. So the state allowed me one class. There's an NREMT refresher course, and they would audit everything. And the lady who came to audit it was amazed by what she saw. She did say that, I can't believe this capability even exists. I didn't know this existed. Again, I had become an expert in distance learning because I wanted this to work. Lo and behold, next thing I know, certain people at the state, they all of a sudden become distance learning experts and utilize my class structures, what I set up. They're now saying that they are the experts. They came up with this. So yeah, no, they're not experts. So what do you think, homeschooling mama? What other experts have people proclaim they've been experts? But they say, I'm the expert because I work for the state. Have you run into any that you can think of?
Yes, the health department's bad with that.
Okay, tell me more.
So the nutritionists or the, oh my gosh, what was it when our oldest was a baby? Maternal infant support. Just a regular nurse who's like, no, I know what's best for new moms, when really she was the most toxic individual there was. Like,
She was very much like, well, I'm a nurse, I work for the health department. Was she a state employee too, or was she just a health department employee?
I don't know. I thought she was state because I thought she was a state nurse that was working through the health department
yeah.
for like maternal infant support or WIC or something when Vashman was a newborn.
Yeah.
And I think maybe even before he was born, but she was the most toxic individual. She was just awful, and way to make young moms feel incompetent and terrible. And
right.
Yeah, no, was not a happy day.
Well, she had a lot of outdated advice. Like, I half expected her to say,
It was like what do they call those? Like what your grandma would say. I can't think of the word, but yeah, like not real advice, like superstition.
Yeah, old wives' tales.
Yeah, old wives' tales.
Well, I half expected her to say, well, chemistry, or the body can't put in milk what chemistry can. Like the old adages they used in the
right?
80s and before.
Like it was awful.
Mm-hmm.
And that is my biggest complaint with some people from the state and from health departments is like they hire people who are so, I don't want to say past their prime because that's not what I mean, but their information is outdated and so is their ability to relate.
Well, yeah, very much. I mean, that was a couple of them we ran into with WIC who, yeah, they had kids in the 70s, 70s, 80s, while, a lot has changed. Our understanding has changed as far as, like, what is good for a kid, what is not good for a kid. Do spankings work, do they not? There are quite a few who were like, no, that is actually very old information. Like, that is not, because we both research, we both like to stay up to date on stuff.
Yeah, so that would be my, more the experience with local people and, PAs. I do not always do well with PAs. Some are awesome. Like, honestly, we have had some great PAs, and we have had some that I'm like, how does that quote go? The first in the class and the last in the class are still called doctor.
What do you call the person who graduates last from medical school?
Yeah.
Doctor.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess if anything, just when somebody says they're an expert, still test their their information. I guess I don't take much for granted when people say something. I still do my own research.
Now, to be fair, I have met actual experts that worked for the state. Now, the two who were just absolutely geniuses, savant level, they were they were Ebola specialists, but they were specifically hired because of Ebola. And they were the one had actually, I think both actually had been to Africa and treated the disease firsthand. Very intelligent people. Now, the one problem with the one guy, they hired the girl because the guy he'd tell you something and it was so advanced and so next level, then she'd have to interpret. which was hilarious. I had many interactions with them when I was working at the health department and then helping out with the hospital and some other stuff. Because he hated it. Like, he hated when she did that. He'd say, like, you're dumbing it down. And she's like, again, they need it dumbed down. They don't know about spreads of these diseases and, risk factors. Like, they need it brought down to a certain level.
Well, it is interesting, like, when you go to a, like the fairs, like the county fairs, or like the, like the big shows where the state has booths and tables, and then you start talking to them, and it's like, wait, do you know what because sometimes it's interesting how often what they say is against what's in their pamphlet.
Oh my God, do you remember our Lamaze class? And that mom came who had like 10 or 12 kids or something?
Yes.
And like she kept like the nurse who I don't know if she actually had a kid.
I don't know if she did, but she was teaching Lamaze.
And she the mom kept going like, here's the thing. They don't do that. It's actually
called a zygote.
Well, no, especially when they get into the labor and delivery part, and they're like, well, all you do is ask for an epidural. I was like, no.
Well, yeah, no. But hilarious because that hospital has never offered epidurals. Mm-hmm. Not that I've ever delivered there, and that was most of our children.
In case you're curious, the Flat Earth Cigar, delicious. This is actually really good.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Very good. I'm trying to say Flat Earth enough, too, so the algorithm picks it up and ships it to some people. Yeah, I know I very much find it a little sus when people, especially they say, well, I work for the state. I'm a doctor. I'm a nurse. Like, I am the be-all, end-all on this topic.
When people quite often, now not always, but I feel like when people have to put their title before their knowledge, it's because they're not actually that knowledgeable.
Right.
Because when I have a nurse come in and is like, they say something like, I'm a da-da-da-da-da nurse. Usually they're the worst ones. That sounds awful, and that's not always the case, but a lot of times when they put their knowledge above their ability, like their actual treatment, mm-hmm. they're not the best there are. Kind of like they're cocky about their education, their certificates, their pieces of paper. Their pieces of paper.
It's actually kind of funny. So they, my division, we're getting new business cards. Mm-hmm. So they want us to include any titles or licenses or degrees. So I declined. I said, no, I'm good. And so I got a lecture actually from our secretary about, this makes you look more professional. People take you serious. If you have your degrees and your certificates and your licenses. So for fun, I gathered all my different certifications and degrees, and it's like 3 lines long. She's like, or we just leave it as your name. Like, why don't we just leave it as my name? Because you'd hate to have this instructor, that instructor, this, the 2 degrees I have, plus the one I started, plus, technically, should I have awards? I have a couple of awards that I got, so recipient of.
I understand putting it on a business card. I don't understand introducing yourself that way.
That's fair. The business card, especially for me, it's like, okay.
Because a lot of people take your business card and like, oh, wait, and then they come and they refer back to it. So I understand putting it on a business card. I don't see anything wrong with that.
But I mean, if it was my personal business card, I could see that to remind them of because I know some people that they get their own business for their personal.
Yes, but the state also does want to look reputable.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, I've got a title already that takes up 2 lines.
I mean, when you try to get on their website and it doesn't work, it kind of looks bad. Mm-hmm. And I've been on multiple state websites recently that are like 404 error, page not found, it's like, okay, well, I guess I can't do that.
Can't do that one. That's not working.
Schedule an appointment through this link, and then you click on the link, and nothing
works.
So, yeah.
And I will recant and say that, yes, there are lots of people who work for the state who are just absolute geniuses. It seems weird. We have this interesting line of those who think they're smart, but not really. And then those who are really smart, but then they can't dumb it down. They can't explain the theory. We don't have many who are very smart and can talk to people. like, and are relatable and are right. And
But a lot of that is, I think, field specific. When you spend 5-10 years studying in a very, very specific field, you kind of forget what's common knowledge and what's your common knowledge.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Yeah, no arguments there. So, yeah, but right now I can think of a lot of people on my team. There we have some who are just really, really smart individuals, and then we do have a lot who it's like, well, I went to this university. Okay, that's great. Yeah, here's my master's degree. Okay, cool.
Can't write a sentence without grammar.
Yeah. We can use AI. You want to talk about that as long as you have any gripes here about?
No, I will refrain from changing your topic.
See, that should have been the topic.
That
You
should have been the
you could
topic.
have
My
had that.
gripes about
Because I have
AI
a lot.
usage.
I have a lot. I could have talked about that one. But
My gripes about AI
your
usage.
you're griping about AI usage. Maybe I'll get a new cigar and a new beer. We'll just shoot
That's
two in a
okay.
row.
I don't want to hurt your lungs.
Oh, it doesn't
more
hurt my
than you
lungs. It
already
goes. It's
do.
just the taste of just tasting it. So, yeah, I definitely don't like to say that I'm the expert or that I'm. There are some stuff I know a lot about because I've spent years studying it and put lots of hours behind it.
Well, and I do understand. Okay, so as an instructor, I will say that there have been. Okay, I've been an instructor, what, 5-6 years? 6 years? At a college, and there have been 2 times in that time period where I'm like, I have students who just love to argue with everything you say, and it's like, okay, but I have a degree in this and I know what I'm talking about. 2 times in 6 years, I've finally, I've pulled that out. But it really has been a student who, really struggles with even writing a paragraph, who's telling me that they,
Tell me you did that to the one who had her lawyer friend look at.
I did not. The one who had their lawyer friend look at an essay, telling me that their lawyer friend saw nothing wrong with the essay. Which is fine. Maybe the lawyer friend didn't, but that's.
And maybe the lawyer friend is an accredited author and well written, well spoken. But I know that legal documentation and writing is 100% not.
Well, it's
APA.
very choppy, and it's very APA probably, but it's very choppy.
MLA. Well, not even APA.
It's probably APA or Chicago.
Oh, Chicago, definitely.
But it's very choppy. It's not meant to flow. It's not meant to have transitions. It's not meant to.
Yeah.
And whereas an academic essay is meant to have all of those things.
Yep.
So yes, no, I did not do that to that particular student.
I thought for sure that was going to be the one you were going to tell me that.
No.
As long as you pulled that card on.
No. Just probably 2 students in 6 years, which is pretty impressive when you think about the fact that I teach a lot of students.
Teach a lot of students. How many students would you recommend, or would you recollect? Probably 150 a year.
I'd say closer to 90 a year.
90 a year?
Probably top out about
25
15 per class, so about 30 per semester, and I teach all 3 semesters almost every year, so about 90 students a year. So
just shy of 600.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've ever really pimped out any of my degrees. Well, in the field or when working.
ALS maybe.
Even then,
to get somebody else to stop because you knew what you were talking about, I think I've heard you say ALS before.
Usually it's experience more. I've been doing this. Now, see, that's another one, though, that I kind of get on people. So, especially when I teach EMS, I'll have guys come and say, well, I've been doing this way for 20 years. Yeah, but have you been doing it right? Just because you've been doing it for 20 years doesn't necessarily make you, that's the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's another one that gets me. I've been doing this for how many years? Okay, fine, that's great. And maybe that actually does have bearing on this situation, but...
No, but sometimes that's the problem. When you have somebody who's been doing the same job for 15, 20, 30 years, yeah, but they also got comfortable in what they knew and what they were like. And usually you stop learning. You stop trying to adapt and change. That's one problem with a lot of teachers is they stop. they get comfortable in how they like to teach each lesson, and that's how they teach it. And sometimes that's a good thing, because sometimes they have found like the perfect system to reach the students and teach the information. But sometimes that system doesn't work, especially as student learners change.
And that's the big one. I mean, even we both have been instructors for quite a while, and how many things have changed, like modalities and teaching methods, and especially once you throw in stuff like
once you add in technology, the way students learn has changed so much in the last 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember when I first learned to become an EMS instructor, like, the rule was phones go in a bin, no one touches them, no laptops, no iPads. But like, I sat in a couple of classes and tried it in some classes. It didn't work great because the classes I was in, they weren't younger students, they were older students, but it was like, pull out your phone.
How quickly can you find this information?
Yeah, find this information. Find this website. Okay, what is the lethal?
Which is great. The problem with that, honestly, is that like my students probably have 98% of the time have complete access to a full bandwidth. But when you're rural and you're in a hunting camp, you may not be able to rely on that technology.
The one I saw was how to run a code with your phone. So the guy he's like, he set his phone, he's like, set it a repeating 2-minute timer, because we have to check a rhythm every 2 minutes. So every 2 minutes there was an alarm going off. It was awesome. And then he had a free metronome app. So he set it to 100 beats a minute. So you're doing CPR and there's a metronome going. And he had another one that it was a voice recording, and it would just repeat off an algorithm we had. And it was something you kind of kept, you're supposed to keep in your back of your brain. Then it was fun. Like, it did actually help to have your cell phone out, and when this alarm goes off, you check a pulse.
But you do have to like have all that stuff on and preset, because otherwise you'd waste valuable time trying.
Oh yeah, it was in a folder called code folder, and you touched 3 different apps, and then he knew to say to his phone, set a repeating 2-minute timer. And again, that's something that these learners now have, like many of us older members. That's probably all I actually have on this channel are older members. The teacher always yell, "You always going to calculate in your pocket?" Well, yes. Now I will have a calculator in my pocket. So even that's changed a lot. I know when I teach, it is now. They want more of those links. They want QR codes. They want
games.
Games.
So games that I use for our children to teach like certain grammar concepts and stuff, that gamify like sentence structure and stuff. That's what my college students want to learn. And I guess if you learn through games, that's great. I've always found them to be frustrating and annoying. And I would rather like read a couple of paragraphs and fix sentences than play a game.
Yep.
But I mean, some students like the gamification of the information, and if that's offer both.
I was ahead of my time then. So when I was
you wanted
a kid,
the gamification?
No, I don't know who got it. I don't think my parents would have. But we had a game that helped you, like you went and explored the United States to memorize all 50 states and their capitals. And then that same one had a math one, a typing one. Oddly enough, they did not get an English one. That really would have helped me as a kid. Yeah,
no, I had a little pre-computer. It was like the pre-computer 1000, and you had cartridges that you put in it. But a lot of them were less game and more, that's probably why I like Trivial Pursuit so much, because it was a lot of question answer. And you learn through getting the answer right or wrong, but you learn through multiple times through the information in the questions.
No, this one, I wish I remember the name of it. It was this little alien. He zipped all around the U.S. and like...
Cute.
Huh?
Cute. No, when I was in...
Really? You're going to go... Are you going...
Cute. A little alien that zips around the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cute. I never had...
I thought you were doing the illegal alien thing. No, it's not Martian. It was a little Martian that zipped
No,
around.
I wasn't. Oh my God.
I say, wow, you're going to get my video banned.
I wasn't saying anything. No, but in high school, to learn about animals and biology, we had a computer program, and you had to like explore different, habitats. And as you explored the habitat, you'd unearth different animals, and you would learn that way. I found it, I mean, I remember as a high schooler appreciating how simple and easy the class was and how I didn't really have to do anything.
Yep.
But I don't remember learning anything either. Like, I didn't master any of that information.
Typing, it was like a Mario Brothers. So as you typed right, Mario would jump. I don't know if it was Mario, but it was the same idea, like a side-scrolling video game. And as you typed,
So you had to like type the letters, and it moved across.
as it moved across the screen of words and then whole sentences, and your accuracy, like, so if like your character died, you went back to the start and had to start again until you got that perfect, and then you got the save the princess or.
You had a really easy school.
I don't think it was school. I think that was what my parents got.
Maybe I had a legitimate teacher who like taught typewriting, and she.
Oh, we had a teacher too.
You had to type it, and she would tell you what to type: A S D F J K L semi space A.
Yeah.
Like, I remember how tedious that was. But I am a very fast typer, so it was effective. It was boring. But you know what? I had a gamification of computer programming and still can't computer program.
That is still, I've tried. I've had books. I've taken a whole class. I've taken 2 college classes.
I can do it. I can do HTML if it's in a book and I'm like typing it. But as soon as it's gamified, I can't do it. But I think that's just how my brain works. I think some people, the games like really do help, and even some of our kids like.
Yeah, there are a few who love them, and there's a few who just
like just master things like that, and some of them like struggle through it. Like it's just.
Yeah.
So it's just different learning styles.
Oh yeah. Well, anyway, we're over 30 minutes here. I don't know if there's anything else. We kind of talked the one
Kinda
topic
got
to
past
death, and
the
got
topic,
a little. Well, this is what the videos are about, getting a little everywhere. So.
You did not tattle on me, so.
I didn't tattle. No. No, you can. Well, it's not in this video. We'll see if you can catch up and speed up the videos and find the.
Oh, now you're starting, right? Oh wait, did you tattle on me in your last video?
Didn't in this one until you said something.
I can't help it. I'm used to Father Mark's.
Anyway, I'm going to go finish my cigar. I'll try to drop ashes in your coffee. In case you're curious, this is a burn-through band. You actually smoke through it. It changes the flavor.
You don't take it off?
No, it's actually made out of tobacco leaf.
How do you know that?
Because the guy who made them did a long-form interview about his cigars and talked about how...
so wait a minute. If you didn't watch that, would you take it off?
I might have, but I would not have tried his cigar without watching his video first.
Okay.
Because, yeah, he talked about... He actually makes a bunch of cigars that I really, really like.
So is this like the crayon paper that's edible?
I mean, maybe, but it's...
Because it's got writing on it.
It's got writing, so yeah,
it uses
I'm guessing...
edible ink.
I mean, it's probably PFAS filled and like full of lead and crap, that ink, but they're specifically... So he sells one cigar that has a bunch of bands that you smoke through, and it changes the flavor of each band you hit.
So it's like one's flavored with vanilla and one's flavored with...
well, not that technical. They're different types of leaf, so the leaf actually affects the flavor.
Okay.
So when I hit it, it gets very sweet. It's a very sweet, light flavor. This cigar is very dark, so it's very harsh. You get a lot of tannins and like leather taste to it, and coffee. But then you hit that band, and it gets really smooth and sweet, which I really enjoy.
I just can't quite imagine that. No.
I don't think so.
I will stick to my never smoking anything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go. So anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry for being semi-clickbait. We're not talking about if the world is round or flat. It was the cigar.
I am shocked that it stayed flat this whole time.
Well, if you
I gotta admit, when you opened it, I expected it to like puff out.
If you look, as I smoke it, it actually starts to round out. So it rounds out.
Is that just because your fingers are like...
No, it's just as it burns, the tobacco actually expands.
Okay.
And so then it kind of expands into a round shape. But
it's still pretty flat, though.
Oh, yeah, where it doesn't have the excess heat. It stays flat. So we'll show that in the video. It stays flat, but it gets round there at the top. There's a huge debate as to whether or not the flavor is different from a box press versus a round cigar. And I think it does, personally.
It's got to smoke differently because one is compressed and one isn't.
They're both compressed, but yeah, they smoke a little differently. But yeah, the flavor is definitely different. I'm enjoying the last one. I was not loving. So, but this one,
But it's exactly the same.
The same tobacco, the same leaf.
Maybe it was just an acquired taste, and now you have now acquired.
Maybe it was just that second, like the first sip of everyone's first sip of beer sucks, but their fourth.
I mean,
or
you
fifth.
got through that.
I did. It's mellowed out a little bit. I thought maybe it had to breathe. So anyway, folks, hope you enjoyed this little banter between me and homeschooling mama. If you're calling yourself an expert because you have a degree or because you work for an entity, an agency, prove it.
Please be an expert.
Please be an expert. Please study up. Please don't just steal someone else's research or whatnot. So anyway, stay safe out there. See you on the next one.